lovely to see you up on the floor just then. But I'm wondering, you're wearing a beautiful outfit. Could you tell us about this wonderful costume you're wearing?
This actually is Polish, from the south of Poland. I used to be a member of Ojczyzna, which is the Edinburgh Polish Club in Edinburgh. Alas, unfortunately defunct, but there is a chance it may be starting up again. And we did a lot of dancing, and as I say, this is from the right down in the south in the Highlands. And as you can see, the caps, they're wearing caps they on today. And the men when they were dancing would have an axe in their hand, and sometimes they threw them across to each other. You had to be careful not to get in the way.
So did you get this outfit in Poland? Were you in Poland when you got it?
My husband Dennis, myself, and Stefan, his wife Ida, and his sister Zosia, we all went one year. It was the year that the Polish Pope was announced as being the new Pope. The result was Poland was on a high, but we were still under the Russians, so we had to be slightly careful. But we did go around buying materials, axes, boots, you name it. And then we realised suddenly we'd got too much stuff. And we had to get a lot of it sent back through the diplomatic bag, allowed to be taken off us. But as I say, everybody was on a high, and it was wonderful to be there.
So, you have a very big legacy in the traditional dance. I wondered if you could take us back to the beginning, the early days of your dance journey. What's your origin story?
I remember before 5, being in a dance hall, holding a whip, doing the inevitable baby's dance, bouncing around, banging a whip. Then nothing until I was about 8. And in the primary school, when we used to skip out after assembly, our teacher, who got the pianist to play Scottish real-time music, taught the top pupils, Lady Creature wasn't one of them, to do skip change of steps. So they did skip change of step out the hall, and she announced to everybody, pick that up and you can join my class. Right. Watched them carefully, picked up the step, and then had to dance it without music across the front of the classroom. That was me, and that was the start of my Scottish country dancing. Then after, Scottish country dancing was done right through the top school, and our qualifying dance at the end of our primary school was all Scottish country dancing. At the same time, my mother discovered that Grace Paul was running a class in Corstorphine, so I joined that to learn about Highland and ballet. So between Scottish ballet, Highland and piano lessons, I was well occupied. The Scottish, I eventually joined the RSCDS and went on 1 or 2 trips abroad, and began to see all the foreign groups. At the same time, somebody sold me a ticket for a ceilidh. I went to that. It wasn't a ceilidh, it was folk dancing, and there was a gentleman called Alec Wiley who was running it at the time. And after being spun round the hall by him, I thought, oh, I like this. So I joined the folk dancing as well. Eventually, about a year later, a gentleman arrived in and joined in. And then he was brought across to me. And it was said to him, Margaret will teach you a final dance. I was thinking, oh, I don't want to dance with a beginner. But he turned out to be a very good dancer. And later, we eventually got married, so that's my lovely husband Dennis. We were really much a team. Everything was done as a team. Alec one day got up in the class and announced, I'm leaving to go to join medical group in North Africa. Margaret and Dennis are going to take over the class. Didn't say a thing to us, and we were going, ah! We were left with a very rickety gramophone record, 1078, no, it's not 1078, the old things, the 45s. And that was the beginning of our dancing. We met somebody who told us about the SIFD down south. So they have a magazine that tells you what's going on around Britain.
Can you just clarify for anyone who doesn't know what...
Society for International Folk Dancing. And we became members of that, and we got all sorts of CDs, record books, and then we found out they ran courses down at Swansea University every 2 years. They brought in 3 people from abroad, teachers from abroad, and over the years, Russian, Hungarian, French, I cannot name all the countries that we brought them in from, and we had a complete week, class in the morning, quick break, second class, lunch, put into a bus, dragged along to the beach, allowed a quick dip in, back in the bus, back to Swansea University, straight into another class, went and got ourselves washed, had our evening meal, and straight into dancing all night. That for 7 days of a week. I will not tell you how we were at the end of the week. 1 year, in fact, when we were with the Scottish team, we had to come back, change hurriedly, get onto the plane with others to Denmark. We spent a week doing Scottish country dancing with a Danish group. When we were getting married, 71, we were with the RSCDS and we got the chance to go to Sweden for the whole week dancing. I can't remember the name of the place. And they were having their anniversary. So we spent the second week of our honeymoon dancing in concert every day. Sometimes, one time, the Swedish group that were looking after us dragged us off in a bus down to a cold lake, and we sort of got ourselves all steamed up. And then it was a case of run down and throw yourself into the lake. Sorry, I'm not I can't swim. So it was a case of slowly. But that is the sort of thing we got up to. Came back out of that. We used to dance with the RSCDS in the weekly show. What does he call it? Nobody knows. A week of dancing up in the school. I've forgotten the name of the school. Secondary school.
St Andrew's Summer School?
Sorry?
St Andrew's Summer School?
No, in Edinburgh. We spent a week doing that. So the year we got married, went over to Sweden, we went back to work, and we also did the show that the RSCDS ran every week. I won't tell you how we were at the end of that week. Since then, we started running 3 classes on folk dancing in Edinburgh. We had a Monday general group, We had a Wednesday advanced group. I can't remember what the third one. We're still doing our SCDS. I used to, when we went down on the courses, Dennis would get videos of the dances. We'd come home, he would transfer everything that he had onto, would be videos at that time. And I would sit down writing up the dances that we thought we would want for the group. I've got something like 3,000 dances written up of the ones that we wanted. So you can guess there's we've got rather all full of videos, CDs, DVDs, and everything else. We also used to spend a week at Edinburgh Folk Festival. Don't even know that was there. Where you had a week's dancing if you joined the class. A week's dancing, half day with each of the foreign teams that were dancing there. So I won't tell you all the things. We had Hungarians, South Americans, French, Chinese on one occasion, anything that they brought in, and they had a morning or an afternoon. And that was quite enlightening, especially when we got one group from the Near East, and we thought, I don't know, how are men going to find the ladies, because you know how they like things. So what they did was, all the men was in the front of the line, followed by their ladies, and then we were on the tail end. So we didn't touch their hands. So things like that, you never knew what you were doing. I remember dancing on a table with a Hungarian group, because it started down, Dennis and I looked as if we could dance, and they got us on, turned on a shardash, and we had to try and do the shardash steps that they had taught us on top of a table. I was a little bit dizzy after that one. We also met a group from the east of Russia, you know, the peninsula, the Kamchatka Peninsula, and they came in. They looked not unlike Eskimos in a way, with their furs and their trappings. The girls were beautiful. The men were very solid, and furs on. And when the girls danced, we often imitated the seagulls. And you'd hear these seagull sounds, especially on the outside, and you see everybody, oh, where's the seagulls? Because we're at Birmingham, not far from the sea, and those of us who would be in the clubs would say, so it was a wonderful and a very long thing. Dennis did all the recordings, things like that. I did the writing. We practiced together, and we ran the club. One lady said we were actually running the club when she joined in 1965. Now, I must have joined in the late 50s, because I remember abandoning the night school for S4 when I discovered it was going to interfere with my dancing. I wasn't having that. I got my S3, I got my ONC, and I thought that's enough, because I was working in a drawing office at the time. So I was dancing Monday, dancing Tuesday. I might have been off dancing Thursday, dancing Friday, and if places like the Trinity Club were going, we'd be dancing on a Saturday night. So we've got our own club, it's the Folk Dance Club, the Edinburgh Folk Dance, Edinburgh International Folk Dance Club. And unfortunately, the COVID has done us a great deal of harm. We've lost a lot of members, and we've really lost out on gaining new people. So if anyone's interested in joining us, you'll be very welcome. I also danced, as you can see, with the Polish club, because it was, as I say, we made friends with the Poles and ended up doing a lot of displays with them. So we've got our, this is, as I say, this is from the south. They had Rovich costumes. There's one place I can never pronounce, and the Poles laughed at me because I couldn't say it. I still can't say it. But we also had the lovely costumes, the girls, don't know if you can see it. We've got long costumes. And the men, these costumes were made. We had a lovely gentleman, a Polish tailor in Edinburgh, and he made a lot of the costumes for us, particularly for the men. The girls were expected to do some of their own sewing. And in fact, I had to make this. This was one of the materials we brought back from Poland, so we had to get going. And if you have a look at the men's costume particularly, now these costumes were banned in Poland. They were not allowed to have them. These were the things they used to do, the polonaise, and there was the Marswoman. So the Edinburgh people decided they're going to have that. In fact, they had to find out how to do put the bits on and the cross. They had to go to a gentleman up in Edinburgh Castle. So Stephen went up, met this gentleman, and he explained how all the bits should be put across. And the first time we walked onto a stage doing polonaise and mazur on a stage in Edinburgh, I believe most of the Polish community were in tears because it was the band. So there's lots of things like that you learn from folk dancing. Another thing is the leading dancers used to run festivals every second year. In fact, they're hoping to redo it this year. So watch out for that if any announcements to leading folk dancers. I don't know what groups are bringing in, but they brought in a lot of people. I can remember Dennis and I having 2 Lithuanian ladies staying with us one year, and we used to go to all the venues where they'd organised. And one day we came down, put the television on to hear the announcement that in Lithuania they'd grabbed the wireless station, and we thought, oops. So we had to call our 2 Lithuanians down to watch the news and hear all about the start of the release of Lithuania. To say they were a little bit upset is putting it mildly. And they had to get the phones to let them phone the rest of their people. So that was them dancing in Scotland. With 1 year trying to find out what was going on. How things were in Lithuania, we found out one day. We said to them, is there anything we want to take back that you can't get at home? And yes, they couldn't get things like cinnamon and things like that. So I thought, right, we'll take them to one of the big shops. We took them to Morrison's to look for things like that. And they walked into the shop, and they stopped dead, and they looked. And we thought, come on in. And they came in looking like this. We couldn't get them to speak. They had never seen so much food in all their life. We didn't dare tell them that was just one store in Edinburgh. So things like that you come into contact with. Another time, there was a group from Austria brought in from Dunedin, and they were great fun, dressed in Austrian, but at the concert at night they had a very special costume on. And when we got talking to them, discovered they were descended from the people, the children that had left, the Pied Piper, Hamlin. they were actually descended from them. It said that what had happened, and it wasn't small children, it was young adults. Because of the way towns were built in those days, they were surrounded by walls, so it was dangerous to build outside the walls. The town had become too crowded, and the younger people couldn't get married and set up home. This piper had come in. We think it was a bagpiper, not that. And he told them, yeah, he'd come through forest, and there was not any travel for days without seeing anyone. So they persuaded him to take them to where this forest was. It was part of, we think it was part of Romania. And they went there, they built up their own community. And when you saw their costumes, they're very dramatic, but they had some Romanian-styled embroidery on them. Because eventually, of course, the expansion had come from Romania, and they had come in contact with Romanians. Come the time when the wall was coming down, they were in Romania. Some of the younger members decided they wanted to come out, so they sneaked out over the border before the wall was built and settled in Austria. That was why we met them at the Fechters Festival. But it was not only the dancing that we came in contact with, it was politics. I've never been interested in politics, but the styles of dancing, the politics, and just having fun was my main thing. And as I say, we used to go down every year, come back and do dances and pass them on.
Before we started, you were telling us about your time in Ukraine, and I wondered if you might be able to share with everyone what it was that you were telling us before.
Never been to Poland. Poland, I was in Poland.
Is that when you met the Ukrainian?
Ukrainian club in Edinburgh.
Oh, was it here? Okay.
Yes, it was a Ukrainian club in Edinburgh.
Can you tell us that story, because it was lovely?
Well, we had met some Ukrainians, and we were invited to go to a Ukrainian club because we told them we were interested in folk dancing. Oh, you must come and see our new club. Oh, great. So they told us where it was and arranged a time and a day. And Dennis and I got up to the Ukrainian club, knocked on the thing, and then there was long silence. And then we heard footsteps coming towards the door. And then the voice asking us, "Who are you?" We explained who we were and why we were there. Footsteps disappeared. Then eventually, more footsteps, I think. The door was swung on. Great, invited in, come in. And we were taken downstairs and we met the people. And we were actually taken into one of the rooms and we saw the youngsters dancing in their costumes. And sorry, I used to go down and up, but not now. We did have a Ukrainian dance a couple of Ukrainian dances in our club, but I'm afraid we're past that stage now. I've still got instructions on. But that was our introduction to the Ukrainians. And as I say, we got to know the Poles, and that's where we really got caught up. So, any questions?
Well, I was wondering if you have a favourite dance that you've learned over the years.
I've not got one favourite, I've got lots of favourites. No, I haven't got one particular favourite. Our class always used to finish with a Russian dance at the end, where we were like that. It was the one I had to teach my husband first, the first time I appeared in Caracat, where you went like that, went down and almost hit your knee in the floor and walked forward the other way. then we started balancing. That was our dance we always finished with in the past. I'm sorry, but we need some younger people in to do that now. But it's all been very good fun. We're always learning new dances. And the SIFD run courses. And that's everybody wants to see. Occasionally publish music, letters, and they run courses abroad, breweries. I wouldn't like to tell you how much stuff I've got in the house. It's unbelievable.
And so the club today is Heather that's running.
Heather is running, yes, Heather's before Lass is running it. But what she needs is more people.
Yes, so do you want to give all the details of the club just now and see if you can bring in some more dancers? Put you on the spot.
Everybody said I had to speak. Yes, well, sadly we no longer have an advanced group. We only meet once a week. We meet on Mondays at St Serph's Church Hall in Clark Road. We have actually just finished for the summer. We're going back at the last Monday in September. If anyone's interested, come and speak to me afterwards, because seriously, as Margaret said, COVID was very hard. A lot of people, it felt like a lot of people gave up dancing all at the same time because we couldn't dance for over a year. And then even when we came back to the hall, we weren't allowed to take hands with each other, so
difficult.
We had a lot of people who hadn't danced for a year trying to not fall over in a circle dance where normally someone else would be holding you up. So yes, our age profile has risen a bit, so we would welcome people of all ages. I'm 50. Most of our members are older than that. My daughter, who's 19, is now coming when she can, and we're keen to get younger people in. So pretty much work on the basis of, do what you're comfortable with. So if you feel a dance is too much for you, don't do it. We do, as Margaret says, a huge range of dances from around the globe. We call them, we're always keen to learn new dances. Yes, it's mainly just having fun.
And in case you're worried about your age, I'm 85, so don't worry. And it's very good for you. If I've got to 85, it's because I've done so much folk dancing.